don't like when people when they're buying, they're silent, they're shy, and like they're not really giving me a lot, and I have to ask, I have to dig what they want out of them.
Sometimes I feel like as a vendor, we're just NPCs, bro. We're just NPCs. We say the same thing. Hey, how are you? What are you looking for? Let me know if you want to see anything. Top three phrases right there, right? For the 30th, I have very strong feelings about the 30th anniversary. Um, Mainly just because, I mean, as you know, and everybody says it, we're kind of in a bubble. Like we're in a Pokemon bubble. This is the most popular Pokemon has ever been, right? The most popular Pokemon has ever been. And, cards are fluctuating up and down. Everybody's like, when is this bubble gonna pop? Right? When do we get out? When do we, do we keep buying back in, that type of stuff? I think the 30th anniversary, the date of the 30th anniversary, no matter what Pokemon does, will dictate what's gonna happen to this bubble.
Alrighty, welcome to the TCG podcast. This is kind of the reboot. We're gonna be kind of stepping away from the card game and stepping more into the um, vending side, the buy and sell and trade type beat. Today I have a very cool guy for my first guess. Had to pick a good one for the first one, which is James. Also, goes by TangTCG. Please check him out if you can. How's it going, James?
Hey, doing well. Thank you for having me, John.
So if you can just introduce yourself real quick, tell you how long you've been in the hobby, how you kind of got into it, and how you kind of started vending.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think just like anyone else, I am a 90s kid, so I grew up. I think the big thing that really got me into Pokemon, my very earliest memory of Pokemon is definitely probably Pokemon Red on release.
Mm.
I got that as a Christmas present along with a Game Boy, that my mom got me, and that was my because I was actually thinking about it. I was like, dang, what is my earliest memory of Pokemon? My second earliest memory of Pokemon is I don't know if y'all youngins know Toys R Us. Back in the day, my older brother used to bring me to Toys R Us all the time, and we would buy stuff at Toys R Us, but then he would take Pokemon booster packs, and they were the vintage first base, not
Oh,
base 2, but base Pokemon packs, and he would take them by the handfuls. He wasn't the greatest role model, honestly, but he would take them by the handfuls. So he would buy like something cardboardy, and then he would put those packs in the cardboard and just pay for like the toy and then just walk out. And so I remember when I was younger, I was like, I don't know if that's right or not, but I got Pokemon cards.
I feel like that's kind of a low key a common story because I have a friend who said he just stole a bunch of fossil packs, and I'm like, really? Like that's like I feel like back then it was much easier to steal something like that, and kind of as a kid it was not much of a big deal. I don't know why with Pokemon is always the thing that was being stolen.
I don't Yeah, I have no idea, but thinking about it now, it was like 50 or 100 just booster packs. Luckily, Toys R Us is gone now, so I mean,
Yeah, I wonder
that was
why.
yeah, that was 25 years ago or more. But after that, it was just it kind of died down. I think the same with a lot of people because when we were growing up, we didn't have any money. We'd have to rely on our parents to buy us Pokemon cards, and then at some point, I just got tired of asking, so I just fell off. My younger sister got into it pretty heavily too, but then she fell off for the same reason. So it wasn't until probably like summer of 20 no, it was fall of 2024 what actually got me back into it was Surging Sparks. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this cuz everybody's going to be like, "Wow, this guy, just got back in on Surging Sparks right before the big boom. He's such a poser and this and that." And you know what? That it is how it is, but what happened was I was traveling for work and I always stop by this. I always pat in the middle of my home and my office. There's this one store that I always look at, and it was called it was in New Braunfels, and it's called Pokepon. and I always drive by it, and it was for like almost a year straight. I'm like, you know what? I like Pokemon. They seem like a cool store. I'll go check them out. I went in and they were like, and I was just hanging out and looking at Pokemon cards. I knew nothing. I knew Pokemon cards, right? Everybody knows Pokemon cards, but
Yeah.
nobody knows Pokemon cards until they get into it. It's like the type of people who are like, you know, I play poker because I've played poker before, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, I walk in, I chat with the dudes, and they're like, "Yeah, this new set just came out. It's Surging Sparks. There's this Pikachu that's worth like $1,500 if you pull it." And I'm like, I'm a gambler. I like gambling, and I asked them, I was like, "Hey, do you guys have any?" And they're like, "Yeah, we have these blister packs." So I'm like, "Okay." They tried to convince me to buy an ETB, and I was like, "The heck is an ETB? I have no idea." And I was like, $50 for an ETB? I'm not spending $50 for an ETB. So they were like, "Oh, it's okay. We have blisters." And they were like 5, $6 each. So I was like, "Okay, give me 2 blisters." And I was like, "I'm just gonna rip them here because nobody else in my life cares about Pokemon. I don't know anybody else in my life who will care about this Pokemon stuff." So I'm just, part of me was I wanted to support them too,
Mm.
because they were just like a small little shop. And I go, I rip it. The first pack, I don't really remember. It was like a Skeletor GX card. The second pack, I ended up pulling the Latias SIR.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I'm pulling it. I don't even know the pack trick. They give me scissors to open the booster pack because I'm like, how the hell do I open this thing? And I open it and I'm like, "Oh, hey, is this good?" And they all start freaking out. They're like, "Oh, that's the second top chase of the whole set and this and that." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I'm like, and so I'm just like, "Okay, whatever." They give me a sleeve and they give me a top loader because I was just gonna walk away with it. I was like, "This is cool." Right? And then I'm like, oh, "Okay." I walk out and then I'm like, "Huh, I wonder how much this is worth." And I look it up and I think at the time it was worth like 250 or 300 because it was just released.
Yeah.
And so after that, it was all downhill from there. I was like, I gotta buy more Pokemon cards. I need that Pikachu. And I think in a week I ended up spending like 2 grand in booster boxes.
Oh, wow.
It was I we my wife and I we ripped so much Surging Sparks. That was my intro. And at the time I think the boxes were only like 160 to $180, which is like that's still a lot, but I was like and what's crazy is they were accessible. Like, I can go to a random
Yeah.
shop and be like, "Yeah, we have some," right?
That's
So I
when,
ended
like,
up buying like
started not being available. It's like,
yeah, and I didn't expect it, so I kinda got in, and then, like, Prismatic came out and all this, and I was like, "I can't find anything," and I'm just like, "Eh, whatever. I don't really care." And so then, I realized ripping so much Surging Sparks, I was like, "I have a problem, and this is not sustainable." I I I had to limit myself, so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do 1 more booster box." I think I ended up going through, like, almost 10 booster boxes, and you know what? We didn't pull the Pikachu.
oh, wow.
We did not pull the Pikachu in 10 booster boxes, and so I ended up just selling a bunch of Surging Spark stuff while they were still high, and I just
Mhm.
bought the Pikachu,
Mm.
and it graded a 9. Not
Oh.
happy about that, yeah. So, honestly, right now, it's actually I do wanna get a 1 and a 10, but I digress. Anyways, and so that's how I started. I have a new rule now. I only if it's a new set, I only rip, 1 booster box worth before I start buying the singles.
That's a pretty good rule.
Yeah, because otherwise I just keep going,
Yeah.
and I can't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how I got into it. Yeah, that is, I really I told myself when I got that Latias, I was like, "I'm not gonna get into this." And then I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop thinking about it because I was like, "These cards are so cool."
Yeah. Well, you've gotten quite the collection from what I've seen on, your social medias. Uh,
Thank you. Yeah.
I definitely am jealous of some of them, like I think, Tag Team Wailord you got recently.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. Is that 10? I forgot it was
Yeah, it was a 10, yeah.
yeah.
It was a 10. I got lucky on this one. You wanna know the story on this one?
Yeah, I'd love to.
The story is, I'll make it short and sweet. Basically, a few months ago, I was making dinner, and my wife invited her friends over for to eat my cooking, which is fine. I don't care. And one of my wife's friends' husband knew I did Pokemon, and so he goes, so he comes over and he brings his whole collection, right? And it was like he stopped in the Sun and Moon era, and I don't really think anything of it. He brought like a binder and some other stuff, like some weird slabs, and he put it to the side. We ate dinner. I looked at it after dinner, and it was just all tag team. It was a binder just full of tag team. And I was like, what the heck? And they were the mintiest tag team you'll ever see in your life. Because even now, tag teams is pretty hard to, it's not super hard, but it's still a pretty difficult to find in good condition.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, are you still collecting? And he goes, no. And I have good inventory because I was like, I want all of these. And I was like, do you want any cards to trade for them? And they're like, not really. I don't want to collect anymore. So I was like, I'll buy them all from you. So I bought all his tag team, and this is one of them. And this is like great.
Nice.
It is like graded at 10.
Yeah, those are not easy to find.
No, I was in awe. I was like, I'll give you all cash. But I it was since he was a friend, I did pay 100%, which I don't mind because I think all of it is going in my
Oh,
PC
yeah.
anyways. Mhm.
Wow, that's well. I think that's good karma. You paid 100%. You got rewarded.
Yeah. I don't wanna it's a it's a friend, and sometimes I do feel weird about those type of things, and I think I'm in a good enough position where I'm lucky enough where I don't if it's a friend, I don't necessarily have to buy at a percentage, especially if I'm gonna keep it in my PC, there's no point.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I think that's a good general rule. If it's going PC, and don't mind paying. I'm just
Yeah, as a
kidding. Where
market.
like, oh, I got this for 80. Like, I feel like that's kind of makes it part of the PC of like, oh, I got this card for this deal. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's
Yeah.
can kind of add to the story sometimes.
We're not gonna shill it. We're not gonna shill this card, but this card was gone crazy, so I'm just saying. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it might be good karma.
So what was the first event like you vended, and what kind of made you want to do more of the selling part rather than just purely spending a lot of money on packs?
So I think for me, the biggest the first event I vended was a San Antonio Cards and More tour.
Mm,
It was like the earlier this year, and I got really lucky because I had a friend who was like, "Hey, I'm going to San Antonio. I have a table. Do you want to split it with me?" I know because I've been talking about it. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'd like to get into vending." And shout out to Wiz. His Instagram is Wiz Lootbox. He's a really great guy. He's super good. He was like, "Yeah, let's split a table." And I was like, "Okay, not a problem." For myself, I don't like to step on people's toes, so I was like, "Are you sure? You know, don't worry. You'll have first dibs on cards and things like that." But he was like, "Yeah, not a problem. Just come have fun, right?" And so, yeah, that Cards and More tour was the first show. I didn't even have a case. So I had to, luckily I had, friends and I was like, "Hey, does anybody have a case I can borrow just for a weekend?" And they were like, "Yeah, not a problem." Went and I grabbed one. Um, I had enough inventory at the time. I just from buying random stuff that I was like, "Why'd I buy this?" Uh, but it was good. The Cards and More tour show was really good. It was a really fun first experience. The reason vending is so interesting because everybody always has a different reason for vending. You know, it's always like what are the top 2 reasons? The top 2 reasons are to make money and to, like, offset your personal collection, right? To make enough with the hobby so that your hobby costs less, right?
yeah,
For
that's
me
that's
for
a good reason
me
too.
yeah, for me personally, it was to offset my collection, but what I've realized and I did a lot of research prior to vending, and I talked to a lot of people. Growing up, um my parents were immigrants. They did not have much growing up, especially raising my sister and I. They did not. Their English wasn't the greatest. You know, a lot of manual labor work. They taught me one thing growing up in my life is that, hey, if you need help with anything in school, we can't help you. So you better learn how to ask questions. So
Yeah.
I ask a bunch of questions to everybody. I was going to shows. I went to like I had like 2 or 3 shows under my belt, and I just kept bothering everybody. Like all the vendors I saw in Austin and even in San Antonio, I was like, "Hey, how do you do this or how do you do that or how do you feel about this or how do you feel about that?" It even got to the point where I would message some people and be like, "Hey, do you mind if I, you know, just be behind the table with you and just watch you and see how it is?" Um, and everybody's so helpful. Everybody is so helpful. Everybody is so supportive. I really couldn't ask for anything more. And so wasn't going in completely blind. Um, but that was great. And so the I had to think of the reason why I wanted to do it was to offset my personal collection, and also um I wanted to see cool cards. I wanted people to bring me stuff to see, and I just what does everybody say? We just want to see shiny cardboard. We want to see cool shiny cardboard, right?
Yeah.
um, I mean, to be fair, buying at a percentage is great. But if it's a card going in my personal collection, I'll buy at market, like I said
Yeah.
previously.
Well, kind of, I think that's like the kind of you overviewed the good side of vending, right? Like, kind of everyone's very friendly, and like I think no one's really like withholding information. Like, if are high on a set, high on a card, they're kind of yap about it. Like, no one's super secretive. Like, everyone's open, how they make money. Like, there's not super anything that's like. I think overall, I would say everyone's friendly. But what do you think? Like the not great part of vending is, and kind of like as we're seeing kind of a downward turn in the market, kind of like a lot of like more modern cards are going down, and kind of some older stuff is going up, or kind of being like kind of the money's like relocating, and sometimes I can kind of feel bad when something like modern worked so well for so long and now is kind of crashing down. Like, have you had some bad experiences with cards crashing, or kind of what are your negative experiences with vending?
I think as far as trends go, luckily for myself, I tend to notice pretty quick. Uh, I'm a pretty low risk type of person. So most of the time, if I see something trending downward, you have 2 options, right? You either offload as quickly as you can, or you just hold it until it goes back up. I'm luckily enough in a position where my inventory, even if it goes down, like my show inventory, not my PC, even if it goes down, I'm okay keeping it. I think it's still cool stuff, right? Um, if I have to sell it for a loss, then I sell it for a loss. For myself, for vending, it's like you get no greater joy than if someone comes to your table and they're looking for that one card and you have it and they're just like, "Hi, this is all I'm looking for." And I'm like, "Great, let's get it done," right? Um, as far as negatives that go for vending, there's been a really weird discourse lately, for vendors that I've seen almost once a week, once or twice a week, especially in these Facebook groups and whatnot. That discourse is that all vendors are scalpers.
Oh yeah.
I I just think that's such a funny phrase. Um, I just think that's such a funny phrase because the argument that always happens is that oh, why do vendors get to dictate um what they sell at or this and that? Because one of the biggest complaints I read on a pretty consistent basis is that vendors aren't fair.
Mhm.
And genuinely I don't know who these people are talking to, like, vendor wise. I mean, I'm sure they exist out there, but most vendors that I'm friends with, they're all friendly and flexible people. Like, for example, if you come to me and you ask for, like, if it's a $20 card and you ask for $5 off, but I can tell you really, really want it, I'm not gonna give you crap about it. It's $5. I mean, still, it's like, 25%, sure, whatever. I don't care, but it's like I'll give it to you if you really want it, right? Um, but I think that also comes in turn of a bigger problem is that how do we make it more enjoyable for the buyers? I think right now the market for shows is getting very saturated. It's becoming there's a show every weekend,
Yeah.
right? And I see the same people every weekend, and I see the same buyers every weekend. So I'm just sitting and it's the same vendors too. And so what has to change? I'm not exactly sure what has to change, but maybe less shows. Maybe it's just summertime, I'm not sure, but I have heard recently, in the past 2 or 3 weeks, buying is not a problem, but people aren't selling. Like, they cannot sell because, people don't wanna buy for some weird reason. But to get to your question about, like, modern cards and the discourse of modern cards also, oh, man, yeah. I think from someone who started off as a buyer that went into vending, one really big thing that I started realizing when I started attending shows was that you see the same cards over and over again. Right? Greninja SIR, Giratina SIR, Moonbreons, um, or not Giratina SIR, the alt arts, all those big modern chases, they're not hard to find.
Yeah.
That's why that's why even the Pikachu SIR and things like that, they're not difficult to find. If I wanted to find one, I can go to a show and find one, right? That's why everything is shifting toward vintage and mid-era because it's getting harder to find. But it's so interesting because it's like it's gonna come full circle, right?
Yeah.
As soon as Scarlet and Violet is over, give it 2 years, people are gonna come running back to this Greninja SIR. People are gonna be still wanting the Giratina Altar. They're gonna be wanting the Latias SIR, which I think is super underrated card, honestly. That Pikachu SIR. I know how you feel about the Pikachu SIR. I don't know how I feel about the Pikachu SIR.
I love that card. I think that card is like gonna be like the gold star Pikachu, basically. Like I think I did a video on it actually recently, talking about like how it's kind of has low pop and hard to grade as a 10 and it's kind of on the floor. And I think like everyone hates on it right now, but I think you should kind of pay attention to things people are hating and maybe pick it up because like people hated on 5 years ago is becoming priceless now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, ponchos were sitting for a long time back in like
Yeah, those are a little different
2018.
because they're promos, but I think they're kind of like I mean, you don't see Pikachu kind of in that form very often, even though he's
Yeah,
a mainstream guy. But
yeah. Pikachu is I just need you to think about what is it? The rainbow Pikachu, the Chonkachu.
yeah, but
That card never recovered.
30 Sparks is a different set and way better than whatever
Yeah,
voltage.
Vivid Voltage. Yeah,
So,
you're not wrong. But I was kind of around during that Vivid Voltage set because I had friends who were hunting that Pikachu at the time. I still knew nothing about Pokemon. I just knew that they were buying booster like boxes of it and things like that. And they were trying to pull that Pikachu and they're like, "Yeah, this Pikachu is worth like $1,500, $2,000. How much is it worth now? It just dropped and
it
never
keeps
recovered."
dropping, yeah. But
I'm
it's
scared.
like
I'm
what else
scared
is in
that's
that set? It's also rainbow, right? It's like no one really likes rainbows and like surging it like the Latias. Yeah, I could blabber about this, but yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. I think it's really funny. And I personally try to stay away from sealed just because it's more inconvenient to sell, honestly. And like bring to shows and unless it's like booster boxes, I kind of stay away from it just because I don't really want to be a sort like labeled as a scalper. Like I don't want to sell something. It feels weird to sell something sealed that I bought for over market. Like I didn't even like buy it from a distributor. I just like bought it from the store. I feel like that feels weird. But I think it's also very obvious who is like went to Target, bought a table, and put all their stuff out. Like it's very obvious, and I feel like people don't
So
start.
obvious.
Yeah,
It's
and yeah, you won't see much. They'll all be on their phone. They won't talk to people. They're just there to make money. And like, I think sometimes
exactly.
those people can kind of ruin the vibe for a lot of people. But I think sometimes vendors are labeled as bad as like, oh, you buy at this percentage, you're ripping me off. You're selling at this percentage, like it just like
We
kind of
can't win.
yeah, critiquing how you run your table or like your business model. But I think it's so interesting because at all these shows, there's like 300 plus to there's so much vendors that it's like you can shop around and do this. Every table is gonna be unique, which what inventory they have, how much like cash they have, like what they value more. So I think it's a lot of times just finding like, oh, that person is buying really low, don't sell them. Like maybe they have a card you want, and it's like, oh, it's unfortunate that you have a card they want. They do trades at a bad percentage. I think it's overall vending. I don't think is very predatory, and I think it's a, you know, something like you're fulfilling buying cards someone doesn't want and then selling them to people that do. You know, we're just
Yeah,
facilitating that, and there's so
and
many of
that's how
them
it goes.
that just just if someone's being rude or like trying to rip you off, just move on. Maybe don't do business with them or like ask them for offers again. Um,
God, you know what I hate is I have a theory that majority of the people who go to these card shows and then right after they'll post on social media, they'll be like, "Wow, vendors are scammers. Like, why are they mark up these cards and blah blah this and blah blah that." You know what I think is that buyers do not know how to negotiate. That is
yeah,
such a big thing in this hobby, especially going to shows. Buyers do not know how to negotiate. They come to my table, they look at one of my slabs and they're like, "How much is that?" And I'm like, "It's X amount." And then they're like, "Ugh," and they walk away. Offer me something. Right?
yeah.
I'm a nice guy. If you're like, "That's my grail. I've been looking for that all over the place." And you just walk off without offering me anything, you know, go watch a they need to go watch a Pokemon POV video.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a lot of times, like, as you said, you love to ask questions, and I think that makes you a very good seller because a lot of times people, one, like, kind of a buyer tip is like, if you're going to a show, ask a lot of questions to the seller of, hey, are you looking for anything? Maybe you have something they're looking for that it's in your trade buyer and you don't care about. Like, ask as many questions as possible. Like, ask what you trade at. Like what's the best you can do if I pick up a lot of cards. Just ask like I don't like when people when they're buying they're kind of the silent, they're shy, and like they're not really giving me a lot. And I have to ask, I have to dig what they want out of them
Mhm,
and
mhm.
be like, oh, so like you want to do this? Like I kind of have to over communicate, which is a part of the
Yeah,
job, But
yeah.
I agree. I think people, I don't even think people are that bad at negotiating because I think when you're negotiating, it's not. It's like half the time you're arguing over $5. Like it's not like I don't think it's a hard art, Like maybe you could
Mhm.
get really good at it, but I think, as you said, yeah, I think try to be friendly and talkative and like the more friendly and talkative you're going to be, the better deal you're going to get, actually, too.
Correct, yeah, and it's funny you bring up the people who are kind of I don't wanna say socially awkward, but they are just not that communicative. It is interesting because a lot of times I sometimes I feel like as a vendor, we're just NPCs, bro. We're just NPCs. We say the same thing. "Hey, how are you? What are you looking for? Let me know if you wanna see anything." Top 3 phrases right there,
Yeah.
right? But most of the time for those type of people, it's just like, trying to be on the same wavelength as them, right? And being like, I'm trading 'cause th that's another NPC phrase is someone will walk up to you and say, "Hey, are you buying or trading?" Even though I have a giant sign behind me saying buying and trading. I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'll take a look," right? Um, gosh, we're all just vendor NPCs. It's so funny.
Yeah, I think, that's something that I think you can do better. I always have sympathy because it's your first show or you don't like not a big talk. You just
Yeah.
like looking. Like I'm socially awkward. I love just looking at people's cards and like not making eye contact and just like literally just like looking at cool cards and then just walking around and like not super wanting to talk to anyone. But like if I'm going to buy something, I'll usually kind of try to talk to them as much as possible so that it can be a win-win, right? I
You
think
form a relation you
yeah.
form a relationship. Right? You form a relationship, and, that way, if anything, you do more business in the future, it may help you out. That's how I started.
Yeah.
I bought a lot from one person. I bought a lot from a few people. They helped me out.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, so I think the as we're talking about like kind of buyer behavior, do you think you've noticed anything recently? And I kind of expand this question with how do you kind of um like catch wind of trends? Because I personally a lot of times I will just hear from vendors like, oh, vintage like modern is not good right now. Um like vintage is all the thing, and then I'll see people ask for vintage, and I'll be like, okay, this is like two sources of information. Like I sit like stand all day and like get asked if I have vintage, like you know what I mean, 300 times a day. So it's like, okay, this is clearly like what the consumer wants, and like I think it's interesting to know kind of how other people get their information, like if they get it from watching someone or how they kind of try to take stuff like that and like implement it into like a buying strategy or something like that.
Yeah. So it's funny. It's so weird, and let me tell you why it's weird. I will always look at a card, and I'll just be like, why isn't that worth more? You know, like that's such a cool art. It's like unique, um, and it's just not worth a lot. I've said that about 10 cards, and they all just double in price. And I'm just like, why, God? Is this a weird curse that I have? Uh, but for myself, I unfortunately I am very internet heavy, so I'm on the internet all the time, not just for work. It's just mainly work also, but I'm just like always I'm always locked into social media and internet, which is not healthy and I don't like it and I don't condone it. But a lot of times I'll just be like I'll catch wind on social media of things like, "Hey, keep an eye on this or keep an eye on that," and I'll just be like, "Yeah, that makes sense." But I try not to think too hard about those types of things. I have a pretty close group of people that I talk with on a daily basis about Pokemon stuff, and one person in that group particularly, he's been in the hobby for probably over 10 years, and so he's seen the ups and downs and the waves of the hobby, right? I'll usually throw things at him, and I'll just be like, "What do you think of this card?" And he's a collector, like,
Mm.
his collection is insane, and what I love about him is he does not love to flaunt it. He'll just randomly text me stuff like, "Hey, look at this slab," and I'll be like, "What the heck, dude? It's like 10 grand." He doesn't like to flaunt it. Anyways, I'll ask him because him and I have our mindset is pretty much in the same as regards to collecting and this hobby. I'll be like, "Why isn't this card worth more?" Um, and so w- one of the most recent examples is, do you know the Cosmic Eclipse Vileplume GX? The one where it's Vileplume and Erica's, like,
Oh yeah,
sleeping on Vileplume. I was like, "This card is too pretty. This card there is no reason why this card should be $300." And this was, like, 2, 3 weeks ago. It's $600 now, right? But I think another thing because of that is also because Cosmic Eclipse is going up because it's just booming because Sun and Moon. The other card that was like, "This makes no sense why this card is this not this expensive," is, the Red Pikachu. It's this one.
oh, the Japanese one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, it just first of all, it just makes sense. It's Pikachu, it's a Japanese exclusive, it's a promo, and it's not printed anymore.
yeah.
Like, for myself, I think of these cards and I'm like, it just makes sense. And I'm a pretty s I like to say that I'm pretty intuitive with what Pokemon people like, and I think that's also what makes me a pretty good vendor too, is that I know what people like. And so when I think of cards like that, I'm just like, there's no reason why that card is so low. I'll give everybody a special tip on a card that is 100% gonna boom, and if it's gonna boom. Give it 2 years, it's gonna boom. I have a binder full of them. It's the Mew from 151 promo, the pink one. The super pink
Oh
one from the UPC,
yeah,
from the 151
yeah.
UPC.
Is that
That
only
card
a
is
promo?
that is only a promo. In Japanese, it's a pull, but that card is gonna go insane in a few years, I promise you that. It is just because when I first started, that card was 8, $10. It's like $30 right now, but
Yeah.
that card's gonna go up.
That's yeah, it's weird how promos are a weird one. I keep on thinking about like how promos and like how promos have done and how pulls from sets have done, and it's like promos almost outperform everything, but I wonder if they'll ever switch and like promos like Pokemon will start printing so much promos. And that's what I think with the Van Gogh. I don't like the Van Gogh very much because I think Pokemon printed so many of those that it's like everyone's gonna have them, and no one's gonna want to like sell or buy it because everyone already has one. But that's
You
kind
know
of
the on
another rant.
y you know the only reason why the Van Gogh is popular the only reason why the Van Gogh is popular is because it appeals to non-Pokemon people.
That is true. Yeah,
I I
that's a
have had
factor.
I have had so many friends come over to my house, look at my Van Gogh, and they're like, "That's awesome."
Yeah, there's little things like that where it's like, okay, I need to buy 10 of these right now. Like people will say that, like that. I think that's a big thing of like people with flip room for my binders be like, oh, that's super cool, and then like not buy it. And I think that, and like a lot of people do that, and I'm like, okay, I need more of those because like eventually people are just gonna buy them. Like there's a lot of little things like that. I think that can be cues to me at least where I'm like, okay, I need to start thinking about like I would say like I've been in Pokemon for a pretty long time, so I kind of appreciate the older stuff and the more stuff you don't see too often. But
So hard to find though. That's the
yeah,
reason why
exactly.
that's part of the reasons why I wanna start vending or I wanted to start vending is because that's the stuff I wanted to see. The mid-era stuff, the vintage stuff. Right now, what's big? XY full arts are
Yeah,
huge. Just older promos, things like that. Like all the Mew promos are going insane right now. Mew is probably gonna be the 3rd most popular Pokemon.
yeah,
Pikachu, Charizard, and then Mew is probably gonna be the most popular Pokemon coming up.
yeah. That interesting to see. It always fluctuates. I think Umbreon's honestly a third just because of how much market value he has. But I
So really
I just wanted to talk about a little bit more of a little bit card market trends. Is the 25th anniversary? Personally, I've been like selling a lot of those, and I know people have been picking them up. Um, and I kind of want to know your take on that. Because the 30th anniversary is coming up, so everyone's getting excited. And
I
also the new block drops today, the Pokemon Center. I didn't get any because I was not aware. But I kind of want to know your thoughts because it's interesting because it seems as almost I think every block for me is very distinctual and very like this is a new style. This is like kind of like new borders, and this set just continues it. And I know it's megas, but it it really just feels like continuation of Scarlet Violet, even though it's a different block now, and I kinda want your thought on that and how that will if this is just gonna be Scarlet Violet 2, like, it's just gonna be, like, another block and, like, not much is gonna change, and this is all gonna be considered modern, really.
25th
Yeah.
anniversary, I sold way too much, or I sold way too early. I have so much 25th anniversary. What do I think about it? It's, I was actually talking about it not too long ago. It's such a weird set in the sense that like the top chase is the Charizard, and that Charizard is only like $100.
Yeah.
It's so weird, and I sold so many of those 25th celebration Charizards. But also, what's interesting is why is that full art Pikachu in a 10 $800? Makes no
I
sense to me.
I think it's pretty hard to grade. I actually I had, like I had a bunch of 25 anniversary bulk that I got for someone, and they didn't take out any of the Pikachu's. So I had about like 100 something Pikachu's, and
Yeah,
I thought about grading, but I looked at them, none of them were good, and I was just like, I think that will go down. I think that's just like some weird niche, and
I think
people will
it's
spam grade them, and it'll go down. But it could be interesting if
I
that stays up.
I think it's market manipulation. That's just what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Same with like the Greninja promo. You know what's interesting is the 25th celebration, the 25th anniversary celebration cards. That stamp is cool. I like that stamp. Personally, I like that stamp. I like the Rayquaza. I like the Mega Rayquaza. I like the Umbreon, and I like the Shining Magikarp, and I like the Greninja. Like there are good cards in that set. Um, I think the reason why it was underlooked for such a long time until probably the past like week and a half, 2 weeks when that Greninja blew up is because maybe it's because the 30th anniversary is coming up, or because it's market manipulation. I am leaning more towards market manipulation,
mm,
but for the 30th, I have very strong feelings about the 30th anniversary. Um, Mainly just because, I mean, as you know, and everybody says it, we're kind of in a bubble, like we're in a Pokemon bubble. This is the most popular Pokemon has ever been, right? The most popular Pokemon has ever been, and cards are fluctuating up and down. Everybody's like, when is this bubble gonna pop? Right? When do we get out? When do we, do we keep buying back in, that type of stuff? I think the 30th anniversary, the date of the 30th anniversary, no matter what Pokemon does, will dictate what's going to happen to this bubble. Is it going to get bigger or is it going to pop?
Mm.
It might even happen prior, mainly just because information gets leaked or information gets shown before the actual 30th anniversary. Um, but I will tell you this: from now until February 26, 2026, I don't think there's gonna be any stop. I don't think the buff will pop. Just from what we've seen so far, the Mega Evolution set, there's a new like Charizard set coming out after that, things like that. I think that there is not gonna be any stop at all, and I think it's just gonna keep going and going, just based off of trends. And I'd like to think that I this is gonna sound so cocky, but I'd like to think that I'm pretty good with trends too, mainly just because I called out Journey Together. I was like, Journey Together is gonna be super mid. Um, it's a great set. I love Journey Together, but it was mid. Day of release on Journey Together, I can still find cards at 9 p.m. locally. You can't like Prismatic. I think Prismatic was just kind of like supercharged. Everybody knows that. Now it's getting printed to the ground. Uh, Destin Rivals. Everybody was hype about Destin Rivals because of Team Rocket. But it's not like I'm using a cheat code. I'm looking at the Japanese market. I'm looking at like Team Rocket. I'm looking at the Japanese Team Rocket. I'm seeing how that performs. That didn't perform to expectation. So Destin Rivals obviously follows it, right? I was getting Destin Rival packs every day for a whole week. Just no issues. Didn't have to wait in line or anything, right? Um, so with Mega Evolutions, oh yeah, I hit. So I'm happy on the Pokemon Center. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was actually a pretty easy drop. I
I
got
think it
pretty
was.
lucky.
I think at late night, like I was cooking and I was distracted. So, but
Yeah, 3.5 hours. It had stock for about 3.5 hours, which is pretty
yeah,
good for
it's not bad.
a Pokemon Center drop. I think Black and White had it for about 5.5 hours. Um, but also Black and White is also a special set, so that's pretty interesting also. But as far as Mega Evolutions, first of all, Mega Evolutions will always have a place in everybody's heart. Everybody knows it's the best gimmick that Pokemon has ever put out by far.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And so it follows the trend of the games, right? Scarlet Violet Mega Evolution is going to be based off of Pokemon ZA. And so it's just going to be based off the games. I think it's just going to be a weird little in between set. It's going to be a fun little weird in between set until next year when the game comes out. It's going to be interesting. I don't know exactly how they're going to label it. Is it going to be like a 10 point, or is it gonna be like a 10.6, 10.7? I don't even know because it's not considered Scarlet Violet. So yeah, that's a good question. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I wonder if they do a mini block where they do like maybe 3 or 4 sets, and then the new generation comes out, and then they do something like that. I don't know. They might continue it. It's weird because whenever they start a new block, it's something pretty drastic. I feel. I think the least drastic there's ever been. I don't know. Basically, I kind of started XY, so every time and like past that that they've changed it quite a bit. I think the least change there was like Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield. I think that was not a
Hmm.
super big jump, but I think it was still a pretty big one. Like it definitely felt very different, but I think opening the new set compared to Scarlet Violet would be like this is the exact same process. Like there's
How
nothing
was
new.
how was so I also think, even though I don't play the TCG, I also think that there is value in following the TCG as well, just based off of like card market and things like that. So I fortunately enough, I know people who play the TCG, and because I give them all my bulk because
Yeah.
I don't have any I don't
Uh,
yeah, I don't have any I have no room for bulk. So I give and that's why my people love me because I'm like, "We'll take the bulk." I'm like, "Please just take it just for whatever." But is the you might not know this, but does the Mega Evolution set, is it gonna be playable with Scarlet and Violet?
um,
Or you don't know?
I'm not super. I haven't read all the cards, but usually in the new mechanic there'll be one or two because everyone wants to use the new mechanic. So if it sucks, no one will like want to buy the product. So usually they'll make like one or two of the cards good or like themed around it
Mm,
off the bat. Um, and I
that's
think it will
interesting.
change the game because it's adding three prizers again, which they
Oh.
got rid of for a while, and but that was with VMAXs.
Mhm.
And I think people historically don't super like three prizers, so I think the popularity of the game might go down, but overall the game design I think has been really, really good. And now that it's getting closer, it actually might be only Scarlet and Violet cards. I haven't played in a while, so I don't know. But now that it is a lot of only Scarlet and Violet cards legal, the game is I think reached a pretty peak that it hasn't in a while, and I think the card game has been getting really popular. So I think it'll
Well, that's
continue to be popular unless it's like the three prizes really make it unfun because historically people like the game becomes vastly unpopular when those release. But then people start adapting to it and liking it more.
yeah, unfortunately, I've had a lot of people be like, "Hey, you should learn how to play the game," but me in card games, I will go too hard into it, and, like, I barely have enough time for shows and stuff as it is, and if I played the card game, my wife would leave me.
Yeah, you can't do both. You have to pick one. Yeah, they both happen on the weekends, and
It would be it would be different if I was single, I'll tell you that.
yeah.
I'd put all my time in there.
Um, but yeah, the new block will be interesting. I don't know what they're doing. I think it's a dual set, right? I
Mhm.
didn't really realize that till now. So I
Yeah.
actually think if they do dual sets more, I think it'd be cool because I kind of like the idea of dual sets. We'll see how what black flare and white flare makes me feel, but
More money
um,
for them, right?
yeah, and I think more of cool. I don't know. I think it's just it's kind of it reminds me of some like a type of Japanese thing they would do. Like I think that's something they've done in the past and kind of more like rather just giving one thing that I don't know.
Mhm.
I'll explain it up.
Yeah.
Um, but we were kind of talking before, or actually, I wanted to talk about is there any cards you think are, or we've talked about underrated cards. Is there anything you're like avoiding right now? I think we talked about SIRs a little bit, and I think you're kind of not super towards that, but I think I've seen your collection or your inventory, and it's not super not modern. So I don't know, like, is there anything you're avoiding, or you kind of take everything?
No. My inventory is very modern.
Yeah,
I hate it. I hate it. Honestly, but you know what? It sells. Like
not as
for the
good as
most
the other
part.
ones, but
Oh, not definitely. People see mid era or vintage, that gets scooped up right away, right? Especially if it's in good condition. E-readers, things like that, sold instantly. Modern is for the people who are trying to master set Scarlet and Violet mainly. Um, for modern these days, I try to only pick up very ugh, God, I hate this phrase. I try to only pick up like liquid cards.
yeah,
I hate that phrase. But like, the Charizard SIRs, the most popular modern right now, I would say is probably 151. The reason being is 151 got a lot of people back into the hobby, right?
yeah,
So every 151 card that I see, I'll try to pick up. You were gonna say something?
yeah. I kind of I got really into 151 when it kind of started booming, but I know it went down, and I haven't really paid attention then because I've been kind of just been avoiding it because I think it was like I don't I don't know. I was just like it kept going up and up, and then it started going down a little bit, and I was like, ah, okay, I'm done. So
Well, it
I
went
haven't been
down.
watching it too much, but it sounds like
Yeah,
it's
it
been
went
doing fine.
it's no, 151 will I've never had any issues moving 151. 151 will always sell. The reason why it went down was because of all the reprints of Blooming Waters from
Yeah,
Target, Costco, Best Buy, everywhere. Which I As far as Scarlet and Violet goes, I can confidently say that now that Scarlet and Violet is done, I think 151 will be the best Scarlet and Violet set, like out of 151.
Yeah,
So
it'd be interesting to see how much prismatic is printed. I think it's really interesting. You're talking about the bubble a little bit earlier, and I wanted to add. I think it'd be really interested when sealed is super available and you can buy it at at what it's meant to be bought for. I I would it'd be interesting to see how how people react to that and like if that bursts the bubble because I think once it's not hard to get, people are like, oh, this is dumb. Like this is like
yeah,
it's over the fate like
yep.
pack your bags.
I'd be happy with that. I'd be okay with that. You know, if product is widely available, I think that's great for everybody. The only what would happen? What would happen if that happened? Like, what scenario? Cards level out, right? I don't think card shows are going to stop. I think things are still going to be hard to pull. You know, I think things are still going to be hard to grade. But cards will definitely level out. Um, what were you saying? You were saying like, you made a really good point that I was going to say something too, but I forgot. You were saying that if things ah, crap, I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Anyways, um, yeah, if what were we talking about prior? We were talking about cards that I'm avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah, so modern 151. Um, hold on, I think I almost got it back. Sorry, bad radio. Anyways, yeah, modern 151. I really like 151. I think that's gonna be the for sure the top like set of Scarlet Violet. It just got so many people back into the hobby. Like even the 90s kids, everybody who only knows the first 151 Pokemon is just a modernized version of it, right? People love 151 and I get all my 151 always sells out. The Zapdos, the Alakazam, all the Charizards, Blastoise, Venusaurs, things like that. People love that. People love those cards. What I'm avoiding, and I think what everybody's avoiding right now is Prismatic because it's just getting printed to the ground, right? That Umbreon fell off so hard, which I'm pretty happy about. Like it's fine. Like I think it's a fun card, but I don't think it should have been worth that much. Um, but I think most people are avoiding 150. Most people that I've talked to are like not buying any prismatic, mainly unless they want it for themselves. If they want prismatic, and then if they are buying prismatic, they'll buy at like a stupidly low percent, which
Yeah.
it's up to the seller if they want to take that or not. Most of the time, I tell people who try to sell me prismatic, who try to bring me, the Sunbreon, they're like, "Hey, I just want cash for this." And I'll be like, "I'm gonna be pretty low, and if I were you, I'd just keep it, unless everybody's situation is different. If they just pulled it and they want cash right then and there, I'll be like, okay." But it will probably sit for a very long time. I had a Sunbreon sit for like 7 shows, and nobody even asked to look at it, John.
Yeah. That's the thing is I think that's one of the most interesting sets that I think if is readily available and like always on the shelf, what everything will level out to be because it's really just like what the pull rate ends up being like because I
Mhm,
think those
mhm.
cards should be valuable and I think like there's reason that they are valuable because they're hard to hit and they're like really good. You know, what I mean, it's like evolving skies too. But I really wonder what they'll level out to and like it and if they're so readily available that people like it's on store shelves and you can buy it whenever you want, right?
Yeah. I think in this hobby specifically, or any card game hobby, you don't know the true value of a card until it stops being printed.
Yeah. That
Right.
that yeah, and yeah, that's a pretty good point, honestly. People start acting a little different on it, and when they stop seeing it too, they don't see this being sold, then they kind of will start associating it with kind of it being more rare and value it more, I think. Um,
Because at the end of the day, the card popularity is dictated by the people in the hobby.
yeah.
Same with, market prices and everything like that as well, you know? If everybody suddenly says, F Umbreon, goodbye to everything Umbreon related.
Like, we don't like you no more.
Exactly. Umbreon's gotta do something pretty bad like Typhlosion. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
What about I'm curious, vendor to vendor, what are you avoiding?
I was avoiding 151, but I think you're making me rethink it. And also prismatic, of course. I think
I'm avoiding the Obsidian Flame Charizard, but I still end up buying it, and it still ends up selling. I hate that card.
yeah, sometimes when there's a deal, you gotta do it and like kind of
Yeah.
make sure. Yeah, because I do get sometimes emotional when I'm buying, and I'm like, I hate that card, even if it's someone's like have
But
it,
if it's a
like I
but if
don't
it's a good deal.
know. Exactly, it's like you kind of have to. I know I have to override my emotions sometimes and kind of be like, is this smart? You know what I mean? Like, even though I
Have you
don't
ever
like
had
the future, I know I could probably sell this in like one show and it'll be fine.
have you ever had a situation where you get offered a card and you pass on it, but then, like, a few hours later, you're like, "I should have bought it."
Um, Not super. I think there are some instances where I wish deals went through, like
Hmm.
I didn't maybe offer a high enough percentage or I didn't make something work.
Yeah.
And I think that's more like social, like more of a negotiating part rather than like picking up cards. Because sometimes
Correct.
they're not interested in like it, like, and I don't super have like the FOMO because if you have the FOMO of like, oh, I should have bought that card, it's like it's gonna get to you because it's gonna happen every day. They're gonna see
Yep.
some Instagram posts. It's, all these cards are up, and you had them all when they were like at the bottom, and you sold like,
I
I mean,
I tell
middle.
that's one of my biggest it's not really a pet peeve, but I hear it a lot, especially at card shows or, like, just everyday conversation about Pokemon. It's like, "Man, if I held this card instead of selling it in the beginning, I would have made so much more money." But my mindset, and I tell this to everybody, I can't live my life as coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah, I think yeah. And I think if you vend, you know that, and if you're in Pokemon, I think it kind of I use it more of a teaching lesson. Is if I kind of have a negative emotion towards the transaction of like, oh, I don't really want to sell this right now. It's like, oh, I
Mhm.
probably shouldn't sell it, right? Like, you
Yeah.
don't want to make yourself forced to do something, and there's probably some thing like behind that emotion of, oh, I feel like, oh, this card's like, as you said, oh, this card's not worth it. It's like, okay, maybe you don't sell that. Keep it in your like personal for a while. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
if you think something's undervalued and you're selling it for under like and it doesn't make you feel good, don't do it.
Exactly.
And when I was first beginning, I think I overdid it just because I wanted to sell a lot, and
Mhm.
I wish I would have kept it, but like at the same time, I was just like, I totally understand why I did that, and like I can learn from that into the future.
That it that was one of my biggest things I had to learn when I first started learning how to vend, was what I would do is I would take in a card that I really like, and then I would immediately put it out, and I'd be like, "Oh god, I hope it doesn't sell." But then it always ends up selling, and I end up always feeling bad. But then after, I'm just like, "Why don't I just put it up?"
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I think most of us know that cards usually rise in the like over time.
in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Like, especially cards that we like,
yeah.
you know?
Um but yeah, kind of wrapping up. I've definitely had fun. I do want to hear kind of our last talking point of if what advice do you have for vending? Like, what do you think you would have done differently on your first time vending? And I know you've kind of talked about we talked a little bit about this kind of a Discord of all the vendors, and you've talked about kind of people teaming up and making vending more of a kind of a more friendly like thing to do because I know when I did it and probably when you did it, it was scary and not there's not super a lot of information. There's like the vendor POVs and some YouTube videos you can probably watch, but it's kind of
Yeah.
daunting doing something like that if you've never like done a pop up or sold something like that. It's definitely kind of a weird environment. So
Sure. I I actually get asked this question every once in a while about like, "Hey, I wanna get into vending. What do I do?" Or "What tips do you have?" and things like that. For I think the biggest thing about getting into vending is, like, you really, really, really have to be true to yourself. Why are you doing it? Right? Why do you wanna vend? Do you wanna just hang out with like-minded people who enjoy the same hobby as you? Do you wanna do it for money? Sure. I mean, you can do it for, what do the kids say these days? Get that bag, right? That's fine. That's perfectly fine. I respect that. But I will say this, if you're in it purely for the money, you're not gonna have a good time. It's gonna eventually you're gonna burn out. Um, if you're in it for a sense of community, if you're in it to see cool Pokemon cards, if you're in it because you're passionate about the hobby, I think I don't want to say that there's a right reason and a wrong reason to get into it, but I think that that is a very honest reason that will ultimately, if you are a fan of Pokemon, it will make you happy. Because there's no better sense, than going to a card show, hanging out with like-minded vendors, everybody helping out each other, everybody just happy to see Pokemon. Even kids that walk up to your table, look at a card, and they're like, "That card's awesome," and they just freak out over it, or just like and that's not even kids, even adults do that, right?
I
No,
do
there's no
that, yeah.
yeah, exactly. There's no better feeling, and that's one really big piece of advice I have, if I were to give, is just like think about the reasons you want to get into it. There's no wrong reason. There might be reasons that might get you not liked, but there's no wrong reason. And if you do it for a specific reason, just be true to yourself and stick with your guns. That's how it goes. Um, and most the number one thing that I also get asked is like, "Hey, how much inventory do I need?" Or like, um, things like that. And so I think you need not as much inventory as you think. Because if worst comes to worst, you buy. If you don't have enough money to buy, if worst comes to worst, you trade. And if you don't have a lot of cards to trade, if worst comes to worst, you learn, right? And so you learn, you take that into the next show, and you continue to build. This vendoring is a grind, but it's fun, right? It is really fun. So, start local. Don't start at Collecticons for your first show. Don't start a collect a concert first show. Learn how to negotiate. There's a really good video that I share with a lot of people who are getting into vending. It's from a person. His name is Oyama. And I think his YouTube channel is Oyama's Trading, and he is a very good content creator. And he has a video that basically gives you the step by step on how to vend, what equipment you need, how much like what's the optimal money amount of inventory, what to do, where to look for shows, and things like that. So I highly recommend anyone who is looking to get into the hobby to, or looking to get into vending specifically, to find a friend who maybe wants to do it with you. Because if you split a table cost, it's less daunting, it's less risk. And also go watch that video. It really says a lot and helps you a lot. And then also watch vendor POVs. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, I also think just do it. If you're interested in it, interested in
Yeah.
Pokemon, just do it. Like I think I was kind of afraid to do my first till like
Mhm.
someone wanted to do it with me, and I wish I didn't wait. I wish like even in like the first show I went to, like I was like, oh yeah, maybe someday I'll do this. Like I wish I did it sooner, just because it
Yeah.
truly was just so fun, and it
Mhm.
like a weekend flat like flew by, and it didn't feel like work. It felt like I had to talk about like the thing I loved to yap about with everyone. Like I was less socially awkward just because I was talking about stuff I love. So I was like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? It's just
I
so
wait
easy to talk to people, and
I think I waited a month because I really wanted to do it, but I was also like, "Man, I don't know if I'm ready for it yet." And then I just jumped into it and didn't look back.
it just it teaches you so much. It gets you excited. Like, but at the same time, it will also show you if you want to do it or not. And I think if you don't do it, because it is a lot of work, and there's stuff I've done for
Yeah,
thing that
for
I
sure.
know for a job I would never do, and I did not get the return. Like I would like, you know what I mean, working for pennies, but I just liked it so much, and it's like it a lot of times for me it doesn't feel like work. Like there's the small things, that I don't like doing, like pricing out or something that it will not be as
Yeah.
fun, but most of it should feel really just relaxed and like a super fun time, or at least
It
for me it did. And I think most people that should be in it, it should feel something similar to that.
it is
Because do
yeah,
someone else if
ultimate
it's
exactly. Ultimately, in the end, it is what you make of it, right? Like, if you wanna have a good time with it, you'll have a good time with it. For myself, it's like, I liked it. What else am I gonna do on a weekend?
yeah. It it is just a lot of the social, the make some money, you get
Mhm.
to do like it's a do your hobby too. It's kind of a home run in my eyes.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a fun little side hustle, and you know what? One thing that you do bring up, that I wanna just take a quick mention to is people who, like, are quote unquote socially awkward and who wanna start vending. I think it helps a lot.
Oh, for sure.
I there is a person that I'm mentoring right now. He's way younger, and he's a good vendor. He's a very good vendor. Um, he will constantly ask me and be like, "Hey," there's been like one or two times where I'll just be behind his table helping him, and he just says, "Hey, I just want to watch how you interact with people. I want to watch how you like handle these situations." And he's learning, and he's doing a great job, and I'm super proud of him. And I'm proud. What I'm proud of the most is that he can ask for help,
Yeah.
right? Because that as a human being, that's how you become a better person.
Yeah. And I think vending is something that people will help out. Like every time I've asked for help, I've gotten answered and like more than I expected, and kind of
Mhm.
has made me less awkward to ask for help, or like, what are you buying? Like everyone's pretty like, and I like that. I like to learn and get input from other people rather than it being a like a kind of a secret game where everyone's, oh, let's not talk about this coming up. So it's like everyone's like, this is awesome, you should buy it. Oh,
Exactly. You didn't buy more of it? You're an idiot. I told you.
well, thank you for joining me so much. I think this was really awesome, and I love yapping about vending and stuff. And let us know how we did. What you thought was interesting, what you thought was good and bad. I always enjoy the comments. But yeah, where can people find you? What's your next show?
For sure. My next show, people can find me on Instagram, TangTCG. So that's Tango Alpha Nancy Gopher TCG on Instagram. Please feel free to shoot a follow. My big thing is that I just do this for fun. It's just purely for me. Once it stops being fun, I'll stop doing it, but I don't really foresee that happening in the future. So you can find me there. My next show is going to be July 19th, Kalahari Resort, Round Rock. That show is gonna be crazy. It's like 200 plus vendors. A lot of basically all the big names in Austin are gonna be there. So that will be my next show. Unfortunately for myself, I think I'm ramping down a little bit. I'm gonna take a small little break from Pokemon starting probably in the middle of August to work on another project, but it is Pokemon related and it is very, very I'm excited for it because I can honestly say that there's nothing like this in the Pokemon space.
Oh yeah, we love
And
big projects.
I'll tell you off the stream.
I get the insider trading.
It's fun.
Well, I definitely follow him. His Instagram always lights up my day. I think you have a really a really funny Instagram. And half the time when you follow like a vendor, it's like, oh, you didn't really post that cool stuff. But yours is like, I inspire to be like yours. Like it lights me up. I'm like, oh, he has a story. What is it? Let me see it. But all right, we will see you later, and enjoy your night, James.
Thank thank you so much for having me. Have a good night.